Good morning, everyone. Let's get started with meal prep with Megan. I'm gonna wait for people to join the live video here, and we'll get started soon. Good morning, Tori. All right, let's get started now. Tori's joined, my best friend who's cooking with me this morning. Super exciting. All right, I didn't get too much ready this morning, so I'm gonna have to gather all my ingredients together. I did already chop my onions and I forget what other things, bell peppers. So those are already chopped for me. I think you said good morning. Good morning, Tori. All right, so this week we're making a lentil meatball pasta, a penne with kind of our own vodka sauce. And then we're making a tempeh burrito bowl. So kind of like a Chipotle inspired or Qdoba or Moe's or whatever inspired burrito bowl. And then we're making some chocolate peanut butter chia seed pudding. We've made the chia seed pudding before, but this time we're gonna make it a little bit more chocolatey. All right, so here we go. Let's start with, we're gonna start the lentil meatball pasta, and we're gonna start with making the meatballs. But let's get all our ingredients out. So for this, you need yellow onion. I forgot yellow onion, so I'm using some chopped red onion that I chopped yesterday. You need some garlic. I've got my vegetable broth, and we're gonna need some walnuts and flour, so grab that, and lentils. I also got my pasta. I got the chickpea pasta. It does have a lot more protein in it, so if you are looking for some more protein in your life, the chickpea pasta is good. All right, we need some ground flaxseed and nutritional yeast. Seems like a lot of ingredients, but I reuse these things every week, so it gets used every single week. All right, so we need some liquid aminos, some pasta. All right, liquid aminos. Let's see if I have them. So if you're wondering, these are what the liquid aminos look like. You can usually find them in the international section. It's in soy sauce alternative, so I like to use this, and sometimes I like to mix it with soy sauce too. It has a little different flavor than soy sauce, so try it out. All right, so I have all the ingredients. I'm not gonna get my sauce ingredients ready yet. I'm gonna get just these ingredients, so. All right, I'm gonna get a baking sheet out too, get that prepared. All right, I'm gonna preheat the oven to 400 degrees. And I've got my morning coffee, so hopefully you guys have yours, unless you're watching this later in your day. All right, we're gonna want a pan, probably a little bit bigger. We're gonna grill some of the onions. All right, so I've got my pan, and I'm going to heat oil over my pan over medium-high heat. So I'm gonna grab my oil. Just about a tablespoon of oil in there. then we're going to get our onion, garlic, and spices. I forgot to get the spices. So this week is parsley, dried thyme, and paprika. So let me get that. And then the usual salt and pepper to taste. So I'm gonna bring this over to my pan. And then I'm gonna get my onion. So hopefully you've chopped your onion or have used a food processor or a food chopper to just dice your onion nice and small or whatever size you prefer. Also, if you've got real garlic, you can mince the real garlic. All right, so now in this pan, you're gonna add about a whole yellow onion. And then we're gonna add our garlic. So to get the measurements right for you guys, it's about 4 cloves. So I do about 3-ish tablespoons. And I just take a spoon and just kind of estimate here how much to put in. So whatever floats your boat. All right. I'm gonna mix that around a little bit. Put a little more onion. These recipes just depend on how much onion and garlic you want in this. You can always add more dry ingredients for these meatballs if you have too many wet ingredients, or add more wet ingredients if it's too dry. All right. Now I mix together my garlic and onion. I'm going to add together my spices. So let me get these measurements right. 1 teaspoon of parsley, 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme, and 1 teaspoon of paprika. And honestly, if you guys watch, I just kind of estimate and spread around how many spices I want. Got my parsley, so a tablespoon of paprika, or a teaspoon, not tablespoon, sorry. And a teaspoon of thyme. And then some salt and pepper to taste. And again, I have this over like a medium-high heat, so about a 7 out of 10. Just mix together everything well, so the spices get mixed in to all of the onion and garlic. I'm just going to use all my onion actually. Alright, so we're going to let that go for about a few more minutes here. And then we're going to get our lentils ready. So the measurements for this, and this is for 2 people. I always forget to tell you guys, 2 people. If you are doing it for 1 person, just split everything in half. If you're doing it for 4, double it. It's pretty easy for all the recipes just to do that to your measurements. All right, so the lentils, we're gonna do 1 cup. So I'm gonna get a cup ready, and I just do the dried, green, brown, whatever lentils you could find. Red is good too. They do have a little different taste, but any lentils work. All right, so I've got my cup, and then we're gonna need our vegetable broth. And that is about 4 cups of vegetable broth. So I normally get a big one here, and there's about 4 cups in one of these. So, and if you forgot vegetable broth, not the end of the world, I would use water, 4 cups of water, and just add a little bit more of the spices to get a little more flavor and a little more salt, pepper, anything else you think would sound good too. So, all right, so 4 cups of this. I've got my measuring cup here. And I used some this morning actually, so I'm going to add a little bit more water to this. Get 4 cups. All right, can we get my lentils? I'm going to add them to the mixture on the stove top. And you want to really mix them well in here. Get them all covered by the onion and garlic. So again, you want a pretty big pan because we're going to add 4 cups of liquid to it. So if you have a smaller pan, you might want to do 2 small pans. And if right now you're kind of freaked out, I would just put another pan on and then just scoop some over there and have 2 separate pans. All right, so it's mixed together really well. And then you're just going to add the 4 cups of liquid here. That's a lot of liquid. I'm thinking I might have done my measurements wrong and that we might need to add some lentils. So keep your lentils handy. We might be adding just a few more lentils to this mixture, especially because this is for 2 people. So let me go back. I'm going to look at my old recipe here. All right. I'm actually going to add a 1/2 cup more of lentils in here, so let's add a 1/2 cup. Make sure you get that mixed in well too. All right, I'm still going to keep my lentils out, but I think we're going to be good on a 1.5 cups of lentils. All right, next, while these are cooking, we're going to get the pasta cooked. So just follow what's on your box. I really have started to like the chickpea pasta. This has, 13 grams of protein per serving, so you get a little bit more protein in your plant-based diet. All right, so let's get a pot out. And I'm going to fill it with water. All right, then I'm just going to get on the stove top, start to get to that boil. I like to add a little bit of salt to my water. And you do want to keep your lentils on a medium-high heat. We want it to get to a low boil, and then once it gets to that low boil, we're going to reduce it to a low heat, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, and let it cook. So if yours starts boiling before mine, just a light boil, reduce the heat. And I like to just stir every once in a while, but you don't have to necessarily since it's sitting in this liquid. All right, so we'll get our water boiling for our pasta. And then we are going to want to get our food processor out. And if you don't have a food processor, You hear my Instant Pot over there. I've got some other stuff cooking. So if you don't have a food processor, you can use a high-speed blender. If you don't have a high-speed blender either, you can always just kind of chop all these ingredients together. So I'm gonna get this ready over here. Got the food processor. And so what we're going to blend first together is the walnuts. So if you, again, have a food processor, we can pulse the walnuts in here. If you have a blender, same thing. You can pulse the walnuts in your blender to get them nice and cut, chopped up. Or you can just put them on a cutting board and take your knife and chop over the walnuts to get them nice and small. So walnuts, we need 2 cups. So I'm going to grab my cup over here. Alright, so it's really nice about the food processor. Just stick it in there, and then I'm just going to press the pulse button to chop it up, so it's going to get loud for a second. You want it pretty fine, but you don't want it to become flour. So you can see here, I'll bring this a little closer. It's pretty fine, but you don't want it to become flour. All right, so now we can set this aside so the lentils are done. So my lentils are starting to slightly boil over here. And we don't want it to get to like a full rolling boil. So I'm having a slight boil around the edges. So I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to keep it at about a 2.5, 3 out of 10 here, and let the lentils cook. All right. So now we pretty much wait for the lentils to be done, because that's the main part of the meatball. That's the wet piece of the meatball that holds it together. So we'll keep our dry ingredients ready to go for when those meatballs are ready. So now what's nice when you're prepping is you have things cooking over here, and you can start your next meal too and be simultaneously doing both meals. It gets a little overwhelming, so I'll try and take it a little bit slower, but it's nice because it just helps things get done quicker. It helps you to have your food ready faster, and then to have a great week to have all your food ready and just be able to, you know, reheat it and eat it quickly on your weekdays. All right. So we're also doing a tempeh burrito bowl. This is inspired by Chipotle, Moe's, Qdoba, those, you know, Mexican to-go restaurants. And so this bowl has whatever really you want in it. So this week I'm trying tempeh. I haven't tried tempeh before. This recipe is from the Party in Your Plants cookbook, which I used last week. It's a fairly new cookbook, really good. It's plant-based recipes that are fairly easy and really fun book to read. So I'm gonna start getting my ingredients out for the tempeh burrito bowl to start prepping the scene here. So I just got this original tempeh. It's Light Life brand original tempeh. It has 18 grams of protein per serving, so pretty good. So I get my tempeh out. thinly slice my red onion. So if you have not yet, this is the time that you can slice and dice your vegetables. And I've already sliced my bell pepper, thinly sliced them. So I did about thinly sliced what you'd see at, Qdoba or in a fajita bowl or whatever. However you want to chop them up. You can dice them if you want instead. Got my lettuce. I like to stir my lentils every once in a while. You want them to be at a light simmer, so don't worry if it's just a light little boil going for them. All right. So I'm gonna do the tempeh for you. I didn't do this in advance because I wanted to show you for the first time doing tempeh. All right, so I grab my scissors and a knife to get this open. I'm excited about this. I haven't done tempeh before. Tori, if you have time to message, have you played with tempeh before? Good morning, Tom. Oh, I saw Tori. I saw you said, I love tempeh. All right, well, it's super packaged. All right, so this is what tempeh looks like. It looks like a reptile to me. All right. So for the tempeh, we also need tamari and olive oil, which I keep forgetting to buy olive oil, so we'll be using just regular oil. I swear I bought tamari. Let me go find it. Yep. So here's tamari. I did the reduced sodium tamari here. Gonna get this open. And then you'll need apple cider vinegar and maple syrup. And then we'll need pepper and garlic powder. So I'll grab the garlic powder. And my pepper. All right, so make sure if your pot's boiling that you put your pasta in. Mine hasn't boiled yet, so I assume yours has not either. And our lentils still look pretty good. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to mix together all the ingredients for the tempeh. So all those ones I just got out, I'm going to get a decent sized bowl here. Might need a bigger bowl, but I think we'll be okay. And then I'm going to get some measuring cups for this one to try and get the measurements correct for you guys. All right, so first we're going to start with the tamari. So we want a tablespoon of tamari here. All right. And honestly, I don't know, do you refrigerate this after? Yep, refrigerate after opening. So put this back in the fridge. All right, then a tablespoon of olive oil. And then we'll need a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. You see the pattern here. And again, this recipe is from Party and Your Plants cookbook for the tempeh. tablespoon of maple syrup. All right. And then about an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. And again, you know me with measuring at least spices. I'm just gonna estimate what that looks like. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Again, I'm gonna just put however much I want. And I think that is it for it. Did I miss anything? Tamari, olive oil, apple cider vinegar, maple syrup, pepper, and garlic powder. Nope. All right. Now I'm gonna just mix this together. Just a nice stir. All right, good enough. All right, in this package, take it out of the trash. It's about only 2.5 servings per container, so I did not get enough of this, so I'm hoping that you did get a bigger one, but I might not put that right on my recipe, so, all right. So next time I do this, I'll probably need 3 to 4 of these. Steven is going to eat ground turkey this week, so I'm gonna make that later for him. All right, before I get started, I see my water is boiling over here, so I'm gonna get my pasta in there. And then the chickpea pasta is about 10 to 10 minutes, so I'm gonna let that go. While I'm over here, I'm gonna stir my lentils just a little bit. I moved around. All right, and then I'm going to cut my tempeh. So let me make sure I read the directions well here. So I'm gonna cut it long ways in half first here. And then it's gonna be the other way, obviously, here. And it's about 1/4 inch. So, oh man, I wish I knew inches better, but I'm a little worried about the texture of this. So I'm gonna cut it kind of small here, but 1/4 of an inch, little strips here. I'm cutting them, and Tori, tell me if this is wrong, but it's about this big. Here's my finger, that thin. So, looks like just some chunks of chicken, right? I've got that all chopped up here. I did not prepare my baking sheet like it says above. I'm gonna get another baking sheet here. It's actually already prepared somehow. All right. Since this is not parchment paper, I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on my aluminum foil here. And then what we're gonna wanna do is, since the meatballs still have a little bit, I'm actually gonna turn the oven down. Mine's preheated to 400 right now, but this recipe calls for 375, so I'm gonna turn it down really quickly. It's 375 now, so that should be ready in 0.5 seconds here. All right. Good morning, Anna. All right, so now with the tempeh, I'm going to coat it into this sauce here. So I'm just gonna take a few here and kind of stir it in the sauce, fully get it coated. And I'm honestly just gonna use my fingers. Put it on top of this for now. And there goes my chickpea pasta. This is what happens when you're prepping. You can see a little overflow happening. Turn it down just a little bit. Give it a good stir. And the chickpea pasta cooks pretty fast. So I'm gonna get my colander ready to jump. And then I'm gonna just pull these out here. So just make sure they're fully coated front and back. You can get tongs. I'm a little lazy this morning. All right, gonna get a few more in there. Use my spoon to kind of just mix it all around in there. Try to get it fully coated. Hope this is enough sauce. Probably. All right. I think I'm gonna like this tempeh a little bit more than tofu. Feels a little more like a chicken texture. Right. Put the rest in there. They crumble pretty easy too, so I feel like that would be a good way to just put it on the pan. All right, trying to mix the last of it. It's the perfect amount of sauce here for me. Last layer of the tempeh on here. All right, nice. Got my tempeh all laid out here, and I'm gonna throw it in the oven. So I think it's about 10 minutes. Let's see, make sure. Let's see, about 10 minutes. I'm gonna put the timer on. And then we're gonna flip the tempeh halfway to cook for a little bit longer. So, all right, so I think my pasta's probably done here. I like to take one out and kind of just feel it to make sure it's al dente or whatever, however you like your pasta. So, and don't forget, you are going to be reheating this, so you don't want it to be too cooked. All right, so turn off the stove and try not to burn myself here. Alright, then I like to rinse my pasta out with cold water because it helps it to not stick together. So I'm just going to rinse it out, get my pasta fully cooled down here. All right, then I'm just gonna leave it in the sink for now while we get everything else ready. All right, so the tempeh is good. And now we're doing rice. Let's do our rice next. All right, so start getting your rice together and cook it as you would in the back, like the back of the package says. So if you have a rice cooker, if you have an Instant Pot, I have an Instant Pot and love using the Instant Pot. So actually right now this recipe also, we have black beans in it, so some more protein. And I put canned black beans on there, but I and Steven, we really like to cook dry beans. The flavor is just so much better if you cook it with, you know, onion and garlic and bay leaves and vegetable broth. It just tastes so good. So I started my black beans earlier and they're done now. So I'm going to show you kind of what those look like. And with the Instant Pot here, so you have to de-vent the Instant Pot and it depressurizes it. So we can open the top here and show you what the black beans look like. And I just buy black beans literally from one of those health stores, and I can just put it in a nice container, buy the bulk. They're pretty good and watery, a little bit hot, and they're a little watery, so if they come out too watery, I normally just drain them. So if right now you want to get your beans and your corn also drained and rinsed, you can do that too. You can get your rice ready. It's just getting that bowl ready, whatever you want in the bowl. If you don't want rice, I recommend brown rice. You can also do cauliflower rice, have a little less, you know, carbs there. So I am going to stir this lentil mixture actually because I hear it over here kind of sizzling. So there should be a decent amount of liquid still in there. If you're starting to see it get really dry, you can add a little bit more water because I'm assuming your lentils are not cooked yet. And the way I like to test my lentils is I like to pick one up off here. I like to kind of pull one with my finger and press it together, kind of put my nail in it. So they're getting kind of pretty cooked for me actually because they kind of smash pretty easily. So you can tell I just smash this one with my fingers. So they're pretty good. So you test your lentils how you like them, taste test them. You don't want them to be too hard because we are going to be kind of mashing it into meatballs, and it'd be tough with them being a little too hard. All right, so I'm in my other colander because I need to rinse my drain my black beans. So be rinsing your corn, your black beans, getting your rice ready. All right. And then I'm going to get my Instant Pot ready to cook my rice. Easy to clean the Instant Pot out. So I'm just going to show you while you're doing your thing, either draining your black beans and rinsing them and your corn. I'm going to show you how I do my rice in the Instant Pot. I've shown this a few times, but always love to keep showing it. So I've got my rice, just bulk rice here. And I have my measuring cup somewhere here. I have a measuring cup here. So I use brown rice, and again, just buy a bulk, throw it in a container. It's nice to just have rice around if you're hungry or need it. So I like to put a little layer of olive oil on the bottom, so maybe a tablespoon, whatever oil you want, or spray it. Sometimes I spray it just to give that so the rice doesn't stick to the bottom of the Instant Pot. All right, so I had 3 cups of brown rice. So the ratio in the Instant Pot for brown rice is about 1 1/4 cup of liquid to 1 cup of rice. And so you could use vegetable broth, make it a little bit more a little bit more seasoned. You can use water, whatever you want. So I like to put the water in first. So since this is 3, let me do math right now. 3 3/4, so almost 4 cups of water into the Instant Pot. This might be too much. You kind of want to follow these measurements pretty well for rice. All right. So I like to put my liquid in first because I like the rice not to stick straight to the bottom. So, all right, then 3 cups of rice here. Again, you can use cauliflower rice, you can use quinoa. This is a bowl, so whatever you want to put in your own bowl here. All right, got my rice. And then if I can find my salt around here, I like to add a pinch of salt to this too. You can always add more stuff too, like onion or other spices, but just for simplistic rice, a little bit of salt. And then I'm going to just throw it in the Instant Pot for about 23 minutes. And then you just let it go. So it's really nice about the Instant Pot. Again, you just let it go. I've never used a rice cooker, so I feel like it's probably the same way. Just let your rice go. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about stirring it. It's just nice to leave it there. All right. So let's check on our lentils here. Mine still has liquid in it. Let's see if I can maybe bring it over to the camera to show you guys. I don't know if I can. It's kind of hot and heavy. Mine has a decent amount of liquid still in it. You can see that liquid. Ooh, heavy. All right. So I'm gonna keep simmering it because you want basically all of the liquid to evaporate or go into the lentils. So once you think your lentils are cooked, just turn off the heat, put it to the side for now until we're ready to go. So the tempeh is about to be ready to flip. And again, this is what is fun about prepping. You kind of are all over the place. You're doing 2 or 3 things at once, trying to get it all done in a timely fashion so you can have your weekend. And then you can have longer days during your week. All right. Get my tempeh out here. It smells really good, actually. If you've never tried tempeh, you should definitely test this out. Well, I'm going to get a spatula out, actually. And I'm just going to try and flip a few of these at once here. I'm not going to be too picky about flipping them. If you want to be picky about flipping them, just get some tongs out maybe, but if I don't get every single one flipped, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. All right. They're not too hot to use your fingers. You know, yeah, the fingers isn't too bad. Watch yourself, don't burn your fingers, please. All right. Looks good. Smells good. I'm excited about this tempeh. All right. We're gonna get this back in the oven now. Let's see, I think it's a little less time, about 5 to 8 more minutes. So I'm only gonna do 5 minutes because I'm gonna be reheating this throughout the week. So I don't want it to be too overcooked. So I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the timer here. Again, I like to get some lentil on my spatula here. I like to just pick it up and squish it with my fingers. See how easy it is to squish, or if you can't squish it, then it's definitely not done. Let that go a little bit longer, and let's see what we can get going on next. So right now, for anyone who's joined, we're in the middle of doing both the lentil meatballs and our tempeh burrito bowl. So we're kind of doing both at once so we can get things cooked and ready. So while we're at it, let's start getting the almost vodka sauce together. So that is going with the lentil meatball pasta. So we made our pasta and we are gonna get ready to make our meatballs, and we need that sauce ready. So let's get some of the ingredients together here. We need our tomato sauce. So we've got the tomato sauce, almonds, some coconut sugar, some basil. Oh, I always forget. I'm gonna run out to get some of my basil, which I have some basil plants right outside this window here that I like to get that fresh basil. So about a 1/4 cup, so maybe like one stem. So I'll be right back. It's a really nice day outside. So let's get done so we can get outside. So I got my basil and pink salt and almonds. Let me grab my almonds. Got my almonds here. So it's time to make the sauce. Let's make sure I do this right for you guys. So this sauce is also from the Party in Your Plants cookbook. So I'm following her recipe. So pretty much I didn't even write in here what we do. So this is a little disappointing. I'm gonna have to look at, I'm pretty sure we just blend it all together though. So what I'm going to do is, you can use your food processor. So if you take the walnuts, we don't need the food processor anymore for this. We just need a bowl. I'm gonna throw my walnuts into a bowl. I'm gonna set them aside for now. Sorry about the whole mess I've got as I spill things. Set them aside. And we're going to get the sauce ingredients, and I'm going to use my food processor. You could also probably use a blender to make the sauce too, but I don't want to get too many things dirty, so I'm just going to get myself ready. So we have a few things coming out of the oven here at once, so I don't want to make it too chaotic. Alright, so my tempeh is done. Now I'm just gonna take it out of the oven, set it aside over here next to you guys. Looks good. Look how nice this looks. It really looks like chicken to me. I'm just gonna set that aside. And then I'm going to take my oven back up to 400 so we can get those meatballs going. While I'm over here, I'm going to mix my lentils. Don't forget about your lentils. My water is almost fully evaporated here. Maybe have like a few more minutes. Good morning, Stephen. few more minutes with the lentils. If your liquid is all gone, turn off your heat. All right, so I've got my food processor ready. And I'm just gonna add all the ingredients for the vodka sauce to the food processor. So it's about a cup of almonds, 1 cup of almonds. And you can use a blender. And I realized I didn't put that on this recipe, so I'll update the recipe. So it's updated on my page if you want to go back and use this ever again. I'm gonna get my tomato sauce open here. And it's about 2 cups of tomato sauce. Measure this out. And again, if you are doing your rice in the or on the stove top, make sure you're paying attention to your rice too, and that's being not overcooked. All right, got the tomato sauce, got the almonds, a teaspoon of pink salt. I really like the pink Himalayan salt, so add some of the salt. 4 teaspoons of coconut sugar. Measure this one out. Don't want to put too much sugar. I usually try not to do too much sugar in my meal preps, but I really want to try this sauce, so following the recipe. And I assume coconut sugar is somewhat more healthy for you than brown sugar or granulated sugar. All right, so I've got that. And the last thing you need is your basil. I know basil's really hard to find, at least for me, in the grocery store, so if you didn't find basil, hopefully, I think in the recipe or grocery list, I put find something basil-esque. I even usually have bought these, what is this, a basil stirring paste. You can use that. If you found dry basil, use dry basil, whatever basil you can find. Basil makes all the sauces taste so much better. You get such a great taste with this. So about a 1/4 cup of basil, or however much basil you want to add. I probably should have cleaned these leaves before, but it'll help my immune system, right? And probably I should read her recipe in the book. Honestly, I think it's on my 3rd floor, so I'm not going to go all the way up there, but I think you might have wanted to process the almonds first. So if you're watching this and not cooking this yet, I would have pulsed my almonds first, most likely. All right, so I got about a 1/4 cup of basil in there. And before I get started, I'm gonna go back over to my lentils and check these out. There's still just a little bit of liquid in here for me. I'm gonna let it keep going a little bit longer, and I'm going to process my vodka sauce here. So again, I'm just gonna stick it on. You can also blend it if you have a high-speed blender. And I'm just gonna pulse first because of those almonds. Definitely a mistake. We should have processed those almonds first before getting the sauce in there. I have sauce coming all up out of this food processor. Most likely, if you're using the food processor, you're gonna need to get, I thought I had a spoon closer, you're gonna need to get a spoon probably, or actually I'm gonna use a nice little, whatever this is called. I don't even know what this is called. Anyone know what this is called? It's some sort of spatula. I always forget what these are called. I'm gonna use this to kind of scoop it back down so I can still get everything food processed. Scoop it back down there. And then keep food processing. I might just put it on low now and let it go. Honestly, a blender might have been better. So again, if you haven't started, I think that blender might have been a better idea. And just depends on how much you like your sauce. So if you want it to be a little bit creamier, let it go longer. If you're okay with having some of those almond chunks in it, I mean, it's not too chunky for me, but I'll show you what mine kind of looks like here. Ugh, there's so much sauce I don't want to lose. So you can see in here, up top's a little chunkier. I need to push that down, but you can see kind of what it looks like there. And I honestly don't know if this is going to be enough sauce for us. We like sauce a lot, so if you like sauce, we might be making some more of this. And give it a taste. That is actually very, very, very good. Woo, I like that sauce. All right, let's check our lentils now. I'm pretty sure, hopefully yours are probably done. Mine look pretty good. Even if there's a little liquid, it's not the end of the world. So I'm gonna turn this off. Forgot about my coffee over here. All right, so now we want that bowl with our walnuts. So I'm gonna grab that over here. And it might be easier, and I'm just gonna separate it right now, to have two bowls, especially if you're making this for two people. Do a nice slice. It's a spatula, a different version of a spatula. All right, so I'm gonna split my my walnuts in half here. You can just eyeball it. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just make it a little bit easier. I'm gonna have two bowls for this. So what you'll want to do with the lentils next, let me make sure, is you'll want them to go into the bowl too. So I'm going to just try and evenly split them, be pretty warm. And again, if yours is a little bit more liquidy, maybe wait just a little bit longer, but if it's not too liquidy, feel free to add them in. You can always add a little bit more almond flour or nutritional yeast to soak up that wetness too. So it's kind of a game of playing with meatballs to figure out what consistency you need to have. Okay, so next we need to add all of the dry ingredients to it. So we need our flaxseed that we already got out. Get it open. We need our nutritional yeast here and some almond flour. All right, so first we're gonna do the ground flaxseed, and we need 4 tablespoons. And so if you're using 2 bowls, split it in half. Don't put it all in one bowl. So 4 tablespoons, we'll put 2 tablespoons in here. And then 2 tablespoons. I can't buy my tablespoon, so I'm using a 1/2 tablespoon over here, so don't mind me. All right, and then 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. So 2 in each of my bowls here. And again, if you're just making this for one person, you can split my recipes in half. Or if you're making it for 4 people, double it. All right. Got that, and then how much flour do we need? 4 tablespoons of flour. So a nice even amount over here. All right, let's make sure we have all the ingredients. So we have the walnuts in here, we've got food in my hair, we've got the flour, the ground flaxseed, nutritional yeast. Oh, I forgot about the soy sauce. So 4 teaspoons of soy sauce. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. And find my teaspoon. So I'm gonna fully use my liquid aminos unless I run out here. So I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons or teaspoons, not tablespoons, into each bowl here. All right, let's make sure we got everything. It looks good. All right, and then just get a big spoon, and we're gonna really mix these together here. And I like to kind of press down with my spoon to kind of mash the lentils a little bit. Not too much though. You don't want them super mashed. All right, another bowl. I'll show you what this looks like here. I mostly stir it well first to mix it all, and then kind of mash with the backside of the spoon just a little bit. If you don't like those lentil chunks, you can mash a little bit more. All right, show you what mine looks like. Not too mashed, you still have some chunks in there. It looks pretty good. All right, now I didn't fully prepare my baking sheet, but I'm gonna get parchment paper to put on top. All right, I've got my parchment paper here. Might be a little too warm to touch, so I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit more. And if you feel like, if you've ever made meatballs before, which hopefully maybe you have, maybe you haven't, I've made meatballs many times before, and these lentil balls, you can tell if they're too liquidy or too dry. So if they're too dry, you can add just a little bit more water. Just get like a tablespoon and just start adding some water. And if they're too wet, if you put the lentils in with a lot of liquid, you can add more of any ingredient you want. So if you really like nutritional yeast, it's that more cheesy flavor, add that. If you just want to add flour, add that. And if you want a little bit more flaxseed, add that in there. But you don't want it to be too dry because you don't want them to fall apart. That's the downfall of all of my past meatball experiences. So I'm gonna let these cool off just a little bit so our hands aren't burning when we roll them. All right, next, while we're here, I'm gonna go back to the Tempeh burrito bowl because we do have some other things to cook for it. So hopefully your rice is cooking over there. Drain your beans, and now we have our onion and our bell peppers. So since my pan is now free from the lentils, I'm not gonna clean mine off. I'm okay with it just having that on there still. So I'm gonna put my pan back over medium-high heat, like a 6. I'm gonna put a tablespoon of oil down and let that heat up for a second. So if you haven't, hopefully you've chopped, or not chopped, thinly sliced your bell peppers, and I thinly sliced my onions to make it more of that Chipotle or Qdoba or Mo style burrito bowl. So that's pretty much what we're making is this burrito bowl, and you can experiment with whatever ingredients you like, whatever you like to normally get at Chipotle, Qdoba, Mo's, wherever you go. And let that heat up, get that going. And then make sure you're checking on your rice. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna get my cilantro out here. So I don't forget it, I always forget my cilantro. And then I'm gonna get my lime out. How many limes did I say? Did I even put lime in here? 1 lime. I'm gonna go get a lime over here. All right, the pan's probably pretty hot already since we just used it. So I'm gonna throw my onions and my bell peppers on there. Lots of onions, we love onions. So if you're not as big of an onion connoisseur, feel free not to even add onion. And then the bell peppers. I got a mixture of red and green here. And that's a lot, so hopefully you have a big pan or use 2 smaller pans. And I'm gonna use the same spatula and just mix these veggies together. Let's see, I'm pretty sure we have the spices, but I don't, oh, I did say stir in the spices. So we'll need oregano, cumin, and garlic powder and paprika. So we already used some of this. I've got the garlic powder. I'm pretty sure I'm getting food all over my head today. So we've got the garlic powder. I swear I have paprika out here, over there. Got my oregano out already, and then cumin. So to get these these spices right for you, it's a teaspoon of everything, making it easy for you. Just a teaspoon. Or, like me, just put spice, however much spice you want. So, get my cumin on there. My oregano. Run out of oregano. Some garlic powder, a teaspoon. And then a teaspoon of paprika. And then your salt and pepper to taste, so however much salt and pepper you want to add. And a pinch of salt. And then just really mix together well those spices. You can always add more as you cook. Looks like a fajita. It looks so pretty over here. I wish I had my phone to take a picture. You can see it. So pretty. I'm gonna let that go for a little bit. Make sure you're checking your rice. All right, these should be cooled down enough, for my hands at least, so make sure you test it out before you go. All right, so now we're making meatballs. So you can either eyeball it or you could get your tablespoon. Let's see, I think I said about 1 to 2 tablespoons for a meatball. So whatever size meatball you want, feel free to do. So just going to pick it up, and at this point you might find out that you need more liquid or you need more dry ingredients. So here's what size meatball I'm going to do. They're pretty wet for me, but I'm going to test out this wetness. I think they'll be fine. You'd rather have it be a little bit more wet because if they're too dry, they definitely crumble apart. All right. I'm gonna get my hands super dirty, and I'm probably getting my spatula super dirty over there because I'm gonna need to mix my veggies while we're doing this, but that's what happens when you're prepping in the kitchen. All right, so get the meatballs together. If they're too wet and falling apart, you definitely wanna add a little bit more of the dry ingredients. They should stay in a pretty good ball. And I just kind of estimate, I think I do about 1.5 tablespoons. Looks like maybe only 1 tablespoon. Oh no, I need to sneeze. All right. Spring allergies, am I right? Okay, I shouldn't have done this because I really want to stir my veggies a little bit, but if you're okay with just kind of rubbing your hands off, getting it a little dirty over here, I'm going to stir my veggies a little bit more. I don't want them to be unevenly cooked. And the nice part about being plant-based is this is not meat, so I don't feel bad about spreading around dirty meat. It's just lentils and veggies, so plus side of plant-based eating. All right, so I'm gonna keep rolling my balls here. A little wet. I'm just gonna test it out though. Meatballs are definitely more of an art form for cooking, unfortunately. I've had a hard time finding and writing a recipe that makes the perfect meatball because it's just different every time. I feel like it just depends on what lentils you're using, and if you do bean ones, it's a little different. So I'll experiment some more for you guys and get a really good meatball recipe for you. All right. I hope I only need 1 tray here. And your meatballs can go pretty close together because they're not like cookies. They're not gonna rise or anything, but it was pretty wet on the bottom. Keep trying this. You can tell they're really wet when it really sticks to your hands here. It's not a bad thing though. Just makes it harder to roll. I've always heard you could get one of those ice cream scoops too that makes these balls a little bit more evenly circled. All right. I'm gonna rinse my hands off since I have a ton of this on me. I'm gonna mix my veggies a little bit more because I think I'm gonna call them, well, I'll let them cook a little bit more. Not done yet. So cook your veggies to your desired temperature. Don't forget we're gonna be reheating these, so you don't want them to be way too cooked. I like to see mine covered in spices, and if I see some of mine that aren't too covered in the spices, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more of the spices. Mix it up well again here. And And again, if you're cooking with your significant other or a friend, it's nice because one can be rolling the meatballs and one can be doing the veggies, but otherwise you're just multitasking. I like to see the onion get a little translucent before I call it done. It just depends. If you like your veggies more raw, don't cook them as long. All right, so I'm gonna get my hand, I'm gonna put the rest of this one in here and get started finishing rolling my meatballs here. Okay, let's keep on rolling. I have a tendency to start making the meatballs a little bit bigger as I go to want to get done. So try and keep them, the consistency even for the size. And there's probably a lot of things going for you at once. I can hear my Instant Pot beeping over there, telling me it's done. Got the veggies going. You might have your rice going in the pot. So always a lot going on when we're prepping. But the nice thing about the Instant Pot over there is that now it needs to naturally release for the rice. So I have about 20 minutes for it to naturally release. I'm gonna keep rolling these meatballs. Meatballs, since they are not meatballs. Lentil balls. Lentils are pretty protein packed too, so it's a good way to get your protein. If you want to go stir your veggies over there, you can do that too. I might go stir mine just a little bit with my dirty hands here. And I'm going back over with dirty hands. Yeah, these are almost done. Yeah, so I like the onion to be a little translucent and to get a little more stringy. If that makes sense, a little soft. All right, almost done here. I think we made meatballs a few weeks ago too on my meal prep. Can't remember. It might have been chickpea meatballs though. Oh. Definitely make some more space. I hope while you're prepping, you're listening to music. Facebook doesn't like me to play music. Copyrights, right? They will mute me, so I don't get to play too much music for you guys. But hopefully you have some music playing. It's a big meatball. Alright, last meatball here. Well, I have a whole meatball probably on my hands here still. Alright, small meatball end. Alright, wash your hands. And I'm going to put the meatballs in the oven, so let's see. So it's about 30 minutes for the meatballs, and we're gonna flip it halfway. So I'm gonna put 15 minutes on my timer. And then, hopefully your veggies aren't sticking too much. You might need to add a little more oil, but I'm gonna call my veggies done here. So you can tell the onions get a little more translucent. It's a little more stringy. So, however you want your veggies, taste test them. I'm gonna leave them on the pan a little bit more, just a final cook right there. All right. Let's see, let's make sure we have everything. So I have about 10 more minutes till my rice is ready. And I'm gonna start kind of pulling off some cilantro here. So I just like to pull it off with my fingers. I don't know if there's a better way to do this, and tear it just a little bit. Maybe I'll get a little bowl out. Put it in the bowl. It's very, very good to just add on top of your tempeh burrito bowl, or whatever you make. If you want to follow my recipe and do some other type of meat, you can make tofu burrito bowl. You can just do beans, you can add chicken, or whatever you desire. It's basically just what you do when you go out to eat. Just probably cheaper, save a little bit of money, and a little bit healthier too. A little less sodium. However much cilantro you want, I'm probably gonna want a lot more, and I don't wanna spend my time just doing this in front of you guys. So again, I just kind of rip it with my hands here into smaller pieces. You could probably chop it up too, but we'll do a little bit of that later. All right, last but not least, while everything's cooking, I'm gonna do the chocolate peanut butter chia seed pudding. So I'm gonna get those recipes out. Those ingredients out, not recipes. All right, so we need milk of your choice. I'm a big fan of the Silk almond milk. I have just a little bit left of all of these, so I might need to get the other one out too. Alright, so you get your almond milk or whatever milk of your choice. The maple syrup's already out here. Some vanilla extract. And get your cacao powder. I love cacao powder. Definitely recommend. You can make some good smoothies. I like to make a fake Wendy's Frosty with it. It's good in your cookies, brownies, really good. And then some peanut butter. And then chia seeds. Almost forgot the main ingredient. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. So with this pudding, you can either blend it together or you can just put it in a bowl. And so this week, I don't want to get my blender dirty right now, and it's a mess over there. So I'm just going to use a bowl to mix everything together. So super easy snack. This is a good, if you eat breakfast, a good breakfast. As I put on there, you can put toppings. I love to just quickly cut bananas and put them on top of the chia seed. If you have agave or honey, put that on top too. You get some cacao nibs or chocolate chips. Really good to add if you want a little bit more sweetness to it. What else did I say? Strawberries, really good. Anything. Just think about what you want to throw in, like oatmeal or yogurt, granola. Throw it in there. It's really good. All right, so pretty much all we do is mix together all the ingredients. So it's fairly simple. Just get my half cup out here. And we're gonna do 1.5 cups of chia seeds. So I'm gonna do the chia seed first. Just get that in there. I might do 2 bowls. Well, we'll be fine. Let's just do 1 bowl. All right, so I got 1.5 cups of my chia seeds. And then I'm gonna add the milk. So we need 5 cups of milk. And I like to get the unsweet 0 grams of added sugar because you'll be surprised. You know, I'm really into making sure there's no added sugar into the things I buy at the grocery. You'll be surprised that a lot of the almond milk has a lot of added sugar in it. So you really want that unsweet, no added sugar. You can even find vanilla flavored still unsweetened. So if you want a little bit more sweetness, you can get a vanilla flavored. All right, 2 cups. And a nice thing too, if you just need a quick snack, it's probably pretty easy to Google chia seed pudding, but you can just make it overnight too if you don't want to prep it out. You just put it together at night, put it in the fridge, in the morning your chia seed pudding's ready to go. All right, so I got my 5 cups of milk in here. I wish you could see all of this. The prepping scene is just so messy for me. All right, then we want a 1/3 cup of maple syrup. And again, I like the raw maple syrup. You don't want to get that stuff that has too much of that fake sugar in it. All right, 1/3 cup of maple syrup in there. 3.5 tablespoons of vanilla. There we go. All right, so 3.5 tablespoons of vanilla in there, and then 1/2 cup of cacao powder. Running out of my cacao powder. Delicious. Smells so good. And then 1/2 cup of peanut butter. Whoops. Which is probably all I have left in here, to be honest. And again, you don't need to add all of these ingredients. You can just do no peanut butter, just do chocolate, whatever you want to do. This is going to be tough to mix. Maybe I should have blended it with the peanut butter. But I'm just going to mix here lightly to get it all try to get it all mixed in. And then I'm going to get a whisk to really whisk it together here. And I might actually just dump this in the blender. So you just learn from your mistakes as you cook. Don't be afraid. You know, this isn't the funnest here to try and whisk this. Let's see what I can do about that. Let me get the whisk out and just try. Just gonna make more of a mess. Oh yeah, you could whisk this together. I think. But if you have a blender, probably much easier just to blend it together. You could definitely whisk it. you don't have that blender, hopefully you have a whisk. Go invest in this probably dollar store whisk I have. You want to get it mixed really well together. You don't want chunks in there. It's going to be pretty liquidy because the chia seeds need time in the fridge to soak in the liquid. So you'll see after you put it in, even if tonight you go in or tomorrow morning you go into the fridge and look at it, you'll see it's a lot thicker, more of a pudding, yogurt consistency. So don't be scared that it's so watery. All right, my peanut butter is not whisking that well. You'll probably have to whisk for a while if you don't have a blender. While we're here too, I'm gonna try and clean up a little bit more. Hopefully you're checking your rice. Make some space to blend. Clean up my disaster of a mess over here. Make sure you're checking your rice over there. My rice is probably done in the Instant Pot. All right, let me get my blender out over here. I'm just gonna pour it in. So hopefully use the bowl with a lip. If not, you can make a mess like me. All right, while my blender is ready, I'm going to, for the Instant Pot, I'm not gonna bring the camera over here, but you just release the pressure just like I did for the beans. So then you can open the lid. And you can hear that sizzle. It's the pressure coming out of the Instant Pot. So hopefully our rice is done and our meatballs are almost ready to flip. So we're in a good spot with everything coming together, almost done. Starting to get a little hot in here. All right. Hopefully your rice is done. It most likely is. If my rice is done. Amazing rice. Fluff it in the Instant Pot a little bit, and then I'm just gonna turn off, and you'll see what my rice looks like in a minute when we start prepping everything together. So I'll leave that there for now. Try to make a cleaner space for setting bowls over here. You know, definitely don't recommend white over here. I always stain my white countertop. All right, so I'm going to get the blender going very slowly. I can't bring it all the way over there. It's stuck by the wall over here. So I'm gonna blend this very slowly together. Chia seed pudding. I'm just gonna keep it on a low. I have the Vitamix, so it's really nice. I can keep it at like a 1 out of 10. Put on a very low, and just let it blend slowly. I have a lot in there, so I don't want to blend it fast. It's gonna explode out the top. So I hear the meatballs almost ready. And here. probably good. You can blend it for however long you want, it doesn't hurt. All right, the meatballs are ready. Might not be ready to flip, but let's see. Oh yeah, they're kind of ready to flip. I like to use my hands because they're a little sensitive. So it might be a little hot for you. You might want to let them cool off just a little bit out here before you flip them, but I like to slightly with my hands because they're sensitive and gentle. If you pick them too hard, they'll fall apart most likely. So I just like to kind of flip them with my hands. They've gotten used to the heat after cooking the past couple years, so really up to you. If you have some better tongs, my tongs would probably ruin these. But also, you don't necessarily need to flip your meatballs. I just like to flip them to evenly get that nice crisp coating, because you can tell on the bottom they're a little brown, a little crispier. So I like my meatballs to be kind of crispy on the outside, so I like to flip them. But you don't necessarily have to. So if you want to try not flipping them, put them back. You can put them back in the oven for 15 minutes. I'm gonna lightly flip this. Be nice to the meatballs. So if you made them too dry, you might be able to tell they're a little bit more crumbly. So you just learn as you go, but no matter what, I promise you, even if the meatballs fall apart into your pasta, it tastes very good still. All that seasoning in there, the broth, tastes really good. All right, almost there. Woo. Try not to touch the pan, it's hot. All right, got them all flipped. You can tell at the bottom of the meatball, this is what I'm talking about with being a little brown at the bottom compared to the top. So I like to evenly get them crispy. All right, I'm gonna throw them back in the oven for another 15 minutes. All right, timer on. 15 minutes, perfect. All right, now that everything is ready for our tempeh Buddha bowl, I'm going to start getting that ready. Although I should have gotten more cilantro ready, so I'm just gonna try and quickly get some of the cilantro ready. I'm sure you guys are doing stuff too, so I won't go too fast. I'm gonna get a little more cilantro on top. And you can always add the cilantro later too throughout your week. I like to add a little bit in while it's kind of warm. Get it mixed into that rice nicely. I used to not like cilantro, so I understand if you don't like cilantro. But the more and more I had it, the more and more I realized the amazing taste it had with your food, especially your Spanish food. And it's green, so it's got to be somewhat healthy for you, right? Again, my story is I went plant-based. It's probably been almost a year now where we really went plant-based for like 80% of our time. I read that How Not to Die book by Dr. Greger. Again, I'm still in the process of rereading it. It's been kind of on pause whilst doing a lot of other things, but I'd like to keep reading the book. But it really showed a lot of scientific studies on how eating plant-based is way better for your body. You know, that's how we used to eat before we could, you know, raise animals to eat. There's lots of studies in there, and I'm sure I mentioned this one because this is the last chapter I read, but they went and did studies down in, you know, South America and in Africa, where they are in the jungle or, you know, the desert, the mountains, and they really have no, they're not in touch with the westernized world. So no McDonald's, no fast food, no grocery stores, and so they're eating, you know, their beans and their rice and their plant-based diets out there, and not one person that they tested out of thousands of people had high blood pressure. Even the elderly, the 90-year-olds had, you know, 110/70 or even lower blood pressure. So it's just crazy to know how much our diets and how much things we buy at the grocery store and how much meat has, or how much sodium like meat has. So it's just amazing. All right, this is gonna be enough cilantro for now. Talked enough. Need to get stuff going for you guys. All right, so I get my rice out here. And I'm gonna get a lime out. Let's see, I think I only told you one lime. So I like to add, thought of a knife around here. I like to add juice of a lime to my rice. It just adds such great flavor. So I'm just gonna chop this in half. You can add zest too. Today I'm a little lazy right now. Sunday, it's the weekend. You could just get a grater and put some zest in there too. Add a little more flavor, but I'm just gonna use this nice squeezer I have. If you don't have one, just cut it in fourths, squeeze the lime on. But I like to just squeeze it around. Gives it more of that Spanish taste. Feels like you're at Chipotle. I also like this lime squeezer a lot, or lemon lime squeezer, because it helps not get any of the seeds into your food. So, positive side. Now that I use all my big spoons, I'm gonna add the cilantro to my rice here too. So I'm just gonna dump it in there. I'm just gonna mix it all together with my lime juice. The steam comes out. Could probably use a little more cilantro, but I'll add some on top later. All right, now I'm going to assemble these bowls here. So we get some Tupperware. I'm just gonna do mine, so I'm just gonna do 5 of these for now. Actually, I think I'm gonna do Stevens too while I'm at it. Just so I can evenly spread the rice out. So with this, I have my half cup somewhere, maybe. Probably really dirty. Rinse out. So depending on how many meals you're gonna make, just evenly spread the rice out. I like to just start with a half cup of the rice. Kind of just throw it into the bowls here. You can see this rice in the Instant Pot. It's really good. Not too dry, not too sticky. If you're making more than 8 meals, because I'm making 4 for Steven and I this week, maybe start with 1/4 of a cup. It looks like it might be about a half cup, but you can always move rice around in the bowls. Well, no, you can definitely use a half cup. I have a ton left over. So put a little bit more in here. I just eyeball it, to be honest. I usually give Steven a little bit more rice than me. Good amount of rice for our bowls. don't be afraid of these carbs. If you get whole wheat carbs, these are just really good for you to have. I know, I feel like everyone's on that, I'm on a no carb diet. Well, I get hangry on no carb diet, so I need my rice. All right, we've got our rice in there. I like to put that on the bottom, just like Chipotle Mo's Qdoba, so follow my usual go-tos. Next, they ask about beans, right? So I'm gonna put my beans in. And again, hopefully you use 2 cans of beans. It's about, again, a half cup, maybe a little bit less per bowl. These are the beans I made in the Instant Pot. So fresh, dried beans, have some garlic and onion in them. So I'm gonna put my beans next to my rice. Just pretend like you're, at Chipotle. Just evenly spread out. I'm only doing 8 meals this week for us, so really about 10 meals would be a half cup of beans, a little bit more. Just evenly spread them out. All right. And next, what do they normally ask for? They ask what meat you want on. So we've got my tempeh over here, nice and cooked. Kind of want to taste one before I do this though. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Tori, did you try tempeh yet? I don't know if this is what tempeh normally tastes like or if it's that sauce that we put on it. Pretty good. I like that. All right, so this week the tempeh is for me. Steven, he's gonna make himself ground turkey later to put in his bowl. So whatever protein you wanna add on here. Could have done tofu, but this tempeh, I'm pretty excited about tempeh. I think it's gonna be one of my new things. Oh, I really like that. It kind of tastes like a hash brown to me. All right, got my tempeh spread out there. And I forgot about the corn I haven't drained yet. I've got some corn to add, so hopefully you guys drained your corn. I remember telling you to. I'm gonna drain my corn really fast. So in here, I think I put some additional toppings, some avocado, guacamole, pico, whatever if you bought any of that stuff, delicious to add to the top. I'm probably gonna add some, we bought avocado, I'll probably add that on when I eat it. And then maybe some baby tomatoes too, so kind of our own version. All right. I didn't rinse my corn, but that's okay. I'm gonna add just a little bit of corn. So if you did 2 cans, that's probably about, a 4th-ish cup of corn per bowl. I might add some more corn later, but this is fine for now. All right, and last but not least is our veggies over here. Let's see. It's not too hot anymore, so I'm just gonna take it with my hand. All right, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna, with my hands, you can get some spatula or whatever you wanna put it in, but I'm just gonna throw some of this into the bowls. So in the bowls, what I'm putting is everything that you reheat. So you don't want to put, I do have on there that you got leaf or romaine or whatever lettuce that you wanted, but you do not want to put that in your bowl, because what you're going to do is you're gonna reheat your bowl up, you know, about 2, maybe 3 minutes, depending on how hot and how much you wanna nuke it. And then a lot of times I put this in a bigger bowl just because there's a lot of food in here. And then I add my lettuce on top, and then avocado, if you want the baby tomatoes or pico or whatever, add on top after you reheat it. So again, only the stuff you want to reheat. This is a lot of veggies, but I do love a good amount of onions on my food, so. Just like to pull ladies in my hands to do this. They wear gloves, so a little cleaner. All right, look at that. Tastes really good off my fingers, so I know it's gonna be good. And so I have ended up getting romaine for our bowls, so I'm gonna chop this up and put this maybe back in the bag, so I can put it on top when I'm done. And I'm probably gonna put a little bit more cilantro on top too, after I nuke it. So I'll probably break that up, put that in a Tupperware, but again, you only want the stuff in here that you're gonna reheat. So that's pretty much whatever your protein is, your rice, your beans, your corn, and your veggies. So beautiful, pretty much done with this. And then our meatballs are almost done, so perfect timing. I'm gonna move some of this stuff out of the way. And the meatballs are almost done. I'm gonna check them though, just to make sure. Oh yeah, they're looking good. I'm gonna get some Tupperwares ready. I'm gonna get those meatballs out. Turn off the oven. Woo, it's hot in here. All right, we're pretty much to the end now. But the meatballs look really good. I'm gonna keep them on here for a bit. Just let them cook off the pan here. But you can feel, you wanna touch the meatball and make sure it's kind of hard all the way around. And then you can tell it's still soft in the middle if you give it a little bit of a squeeze. So you want to let them cool off so they fully harden. They're just like taking cookies out of the oven. You just want to let them harden there for a little bit. So pretty much what we're going to do then, I'm probably not going to do this on video with you guys, but I'm going to separately get our pasta out. Hopefully it's not too sticky. If it's a little sticky, you can add some water back to it. Go. I didn't get too much pasta this week, but I'm gonna just use my hands here. Put a good amount on the bottom. Make sure I didn't miss anything for you guys. Nope, I don't think so. And then I'm just gonna evenly split the meatballs up. So, you know, I'm gonna have to count, but it's probably about 3 to 4 meatballs, and we're only gonna make about 4 meals each this week too. So put the meatballs on top, and then we just take some of the sauce here and evenly spread it on top of all your meals. Now, I don't know if this is enough sauce for you guys, but if you need to, you can just add a little bit more tomato sauce if you have some. You can add a little bit more of all the ingredients. You can just throw tomato sauce too if you don't want to add anything else in here. But you can just keep adding some more if you don't have enough sauce, because I don't know if that's going to be enough for us. All right, so after you do that, let it fully cool off before you put it in the fridge, so you don't want the meatballs to go in the fridge. They'll become a little bit more soggy if they're still warm. So I leave them out for a good while. It's not meat, so it's okay to leave it out in the fridge for quite a while. So if you want to go do some things throughout your day, you can leave them out, you know, a lot of the day before you put them in the fridge to cool. All right, and then last but not least, that chia seed pudding. I like to use these little circular Tupperwares here, glass Tupperwares, and then you just take this off, take your blender off. You can re-blend it just a little bit. I'm gonna blend it just a little bit more again, just to get it mixed back up. You can already tell how much thicker it has gotten, which is awesome. The chia seeds are mixing it up, so I'm just gonna pour slowly enough in there. And I'm gonna evenly leave some room at the top here because I'm gonna add bananas on top before I take it to go. I don't usually put the bananas on top. I usually do it the same day. But you can always add chocolate chips right now, cacao nibs if you want to get some of those. They're really good. What else did I say? I think strawberries. You could add it now. I think they last throughout the week, but I like to normally do any of the fruit the same day. So whatever you desire, try it out, test it out. But there's our chia seed pudding and our pasta. So right now, normally I let things kind of sit out, especially the meatballs, let them cool. And then I'm going to clean up my space and then put together my meatballs. So, you know, maybe another half an hour of cooking, but what's nice is I just spent 2.5 hours cooking my food, and then now during the week I get to just put it in the microwave, eat my food, and have my whole weekday to do things. So I don't have to be cooking, don't have to mess up the kitchen too much. It's really nice. It's easy to also eat healthier. You're not tired when you come home and just want to go to Chipotle or Moe's or Qdoba. You have your bowl here. So it's really nice to prep your food. We've gotten a lot healthier prepping our food, lost some weight, so feel a lot better, have more energy. So I definitely recommend trying to do this. You know, just start with lunches. If you need easier recipes too, we started out with really simplistic prepping recipes. So if you want to reach out to me, I can kind of show you what we did, or you can just follow my videos with one recipe instead of 2 or 3 recipes. So thanks for joining me today. I don't think there were any questions in the chat, but I will post this as soon as it loads, so you can watch this later, watch this in the future, and I will fix any of the recipes that I need to fix. So thanks for joining today. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather in Indiana here. It's really warm. So thanks, guys. See you next week.